Welcome back to the news at 10. The annual naval exercise Obangame Express, facilitated by the U.S. Naval Forces Africa, has taken place in the Gulf of Guinea. 33 countries participated in the shore-based training, which focused on maritime interdiction, weapon handling, boarding techniques, medical, meteorological and oceanographic information exercises. There's quite a bit. Our correspondent, Chris Lems, who was with the team, reports.
I hereby, with all sincerity, flag off exercise Obangame 2019.
This signals the commencement of the annual naval exercise Obangame Express, facilitated by the U.S. Naval Forces Africa. The Nigerian Navy is deploying some of its vessels, including Centenary, Unity, Sagbama, Zaria, alongside its helicopter, as well as the Nigerian Air Force plane. The turf is the all-important vast trading route and oil-rich Gulf of Guinea, which explains why it's a 33-nation exercise. Drills are on tactical formation and ship maneuverability, vessel boarding, search and seizure, medical evacuation, helicopter insertion, gunnery, and lots more. The target is to test and strengthen the naval capacity to tackle maritime crimes such as illegal fishing and oil bunkering, drugs and narcotic operations. With simulation exercises carried out among the Nigerian naval vessels, the Portuguese, Moroccan and US ships, capacity is tested and lessons are learned.
This year, one of our greatest achievements is we have been able to cooperate together better on improving our tactics.
It's been time to put to practice so many of the drills, emergency drills that the men been taught in training school, and to also have the experience of staying at sea for a prolonged period.
While communication between vessels, aircraft and other military equipment is vital and may have been achieved via this exercise, the role of interagency cooperation in bringing criminals to justice appeared to have also been enhanced.
One of the major benefits of this Obangame Express, like I said, to Nigeria in particular, is an area of interagency cooperation.
To keep this 95.5 meter long Nigerian Navy ship on this brief voyage has taken over 100,000 liters of fuel and over 100 personnel who are catered for morning, noon and night. The issue is what happens to this vast maritime space when it is not effectively patrolled. This is a question the Nigerian government must continue to answer if it's to protect the vast and abundant natural resources of the Gulf of Guinea. From the NNS Centenary on the Gulf of Guinea, Chris Lems, Channels Television News.
Internally displaced persons in Maiduguri are protesting the food shortages in their camp. Men, women and children residing at the Gubio Road IDP camp today confronted aid workers over what they described as a desperate situation. Most of the protesters are new arrivals from Kukawa and Kalabalge, the local government areas sacked by insurgents early this year. They say they're forced to sleep outside in open spaces. The National Population Commission has announced the commencement of field work towards a credible population census. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the acting chairman of the commission, Mr. Hassan Bashir, says the commission has commenced enumeration area demarcation exercises in one local government area each in 18 states out of the 23 selected. Mr. Bashir appeals to states and local government councils in affected states to support the commission by allowing their demarcators unhindered access to facilities and places in the areas to be demarcated.
The EAD constitutes the foundation on which the entire census architecture stands. It forms the basis for both planning and the execution of the census project. It is a vehicle that drives the entire process in the pre-census, actual enumeration, and post-census period, and it involves the division of the whole landmass to the country into small units that can easily be covered by a team of enumerators during the census. The enumeration area demarcation will be commencing today and will take place in one LGA in the 18th states out of the 23 selected states of the Federation. The remaining 5 states, namely Kano, Kaduna, Rivers, Adamawa, and Taraba, are due to election reruns step down to Saturday, 30th March 2019.
China is ready to strengthen its partnership with Anambra State by establishing a cultural center that will facilitate cultural exchange between Beijing and Awka. The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Zhu Pingjian, mentioned this when he paid a courtesy visit to Governor Willie Obiano at the Governor's Lodge in Amobia. He believes Anambra State shares similar aspirations with China in its desire to be the first-choice investment destination.
Very nice to meet you. How are you today? Nice to see you.
Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State welcoming his guests from the Embassy of China, led by its ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Zhu Pingjian, at the Governor's Lodge in Amobia. The visit is aimed at exploring opportunities for collaboration to strengthen strategic partnership with the Anambra State government and expanding frontiers of development.
We will not limit ourselves to investment, to industrialization. As I said, it's across-the-board cooperation. Whatever the Chinese embassy and the consulates, our consulate general in Lagos can facilitate the cooperation between Anambra and your partners in China. We will try our best. We will definitely be 100% hardworking.
We have over the past 1 year enjoyed cultural exchange programs amongst ourselves. And some of the invitations you've given to us is to train our cultural troupe, which we're very pleased to accept today. So we also have a Chinese language center in UNICEF.
While the Chinese ambassador commends Governor Obiano for creating a friendly environment for business and tourism to thrive, the governor on his part enumerates his administration's plan to further grow the already existing partnership for the betterment of both parties.
We'll be willing to give you a land in line with discussions held with the commissioner, to build the cultural exchange area between China and Anambra State.
The meeting ends with the Chinese team expressing interest in building a cultural center that will accommodate a theater and other facilities that will boost cultural exchange between China and Anambra State.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Kayode Okikiolu.
Thank you, Ijeoma, and you're welcome to Business News. The central bank has projected a rise in inflation to 12%, but expects the economic variable to subsequently moderate in reaction to gains from agriculture and the manufacturing sectors. CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele made this projection while explaining his post-elections agenda for the economy. He also noted that monetary policies will be adjusted in line with the unfolding conditions and outlook.
In monetary policy, the current tight stance is expected to continue in the near term, especially in view of the rising inflation expectations. The CBN will look to adjust the policy rate in line with unfolding conditions and outlooks. We would also continue to ensure that the policy interest rate is delicately set to balance the objectives of price stability with output stabilization. On GDP, with continued efforts at driving indigenous production in high-impact real sector activities, especially agriculture and manufacturing, the gross domestic product is expected to pick up in the first quarter of the year. This will be buoyed by anticipated budgetary and electioneering spending, which took place in the first quarter of the year. GDP is projected to rise to 3% for the year 2019, relative to 1.8% in 2018. On inflation, for 2019, Nigeria's rate of inflation is expected to rise slightly to about 12% and then moderate downwards thereafter due to productivity gains in the agriculture and manufacturing sector.
Nigeria plans to cut its stake in joint oil ventures with multinational oil companies to 40% this year. Now, according to the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, the aim is to help boost revenue and grow the economy. Companies involved in joint ventures with the NNPC include Royal Dutch Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil. The reduction of Nigeria's stake in joint oil ventures has been in the works for more than a decade, but often hampered by the need to boost the coffers. In more business stories, the Standards Organization of Nigeria has resumed its awareness programs to set investors on the right path of business. At a workshop on ethics and integrity held in partnership with the Nigerian Shippers Council, the agency promises its support for foreign traders in attendance. In the meantime, the Nigerian Shippers Council at the meeting confirms that revised port changes should be expected soon.
I envisage a 25 to 30% reduction of port cost after we have signed the MOU. Negotiating the MOU with the shipping companies has been very tough and hard because both sides are also, hard negotiators. But we hope that by the first quarter of this year, we will have signed the MOU. But even before signing the MOU, we will also call stakeholders to validate this MOU.
It's disheartening to note that the unsavory issues of false declarations, willful importation of substandard products, or importation without undertaking the offshore conformity assessment as SONCA process, are still very much in practice. SON has been battling tooth and nail to curtail these non-conformances. Part of our approach was the massive sensitization of stakeholders in 2018, which we are going to continue this year.
Let's now head over to the stock exchange, where the equity markets today extended its negative sentiments to the 6th successive trading sessions. Today's decline was impacted by a huge sell-off in the oil and gas and banking sectors. Let's now join Layo Adegoke for the trade summary.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. The Nigerian equities market continues its losing streak, with the main index shedding a further 0.50% on Thursday, while market value drops to 11.51 trillion naira. The day's volume, however, increased to 250.02 million, while value also grew to 2.43 billion naira from Wednesday's 2.16 billion naira. The oil and gas sector took the heaviest hit, with a 3.28% decline, as well as the banking sector, which lost 0.35%. Insurance, consumer goods and the industrial goods sector closed in the green. Access Bank heads the top trade start, followed by Zenith Bank and UBA. Sovereign Insurance led Thursday's gainers, while Sky Shelter Fund was the heaviest decliner for the day. And that's it on the stock market report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Kayode Okikyolu.